Today I'm going to show you a game that I recently played and it got very chaotic in the second half. I'm going to show you the game review on this. As you can see, in the second half there's a bunch of mistakes like misses and one blunder like relatively at the end. It ended in 31 moves. And I'll just go over the game and explain my thought process. So we have e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, d4, which is the Scotch game, e takes d4, and now bishop c4, entering the Scotch gambit. And my reasoning for playing bishop c4 is that I want to play a little bit of aggressive chess, and I don't want to just play positionally and kind of maneuver my pieces. I want tactics. So yeah, my opponent played h6, which is I think a relatively common move around this rating range, because they're probably scared of knight coming to g5 and teaming up with the bishop on f7. So I just castled and brought my king to safety, and that also allows me to bring my rook onto the e-file, potentially attacking the king. So they played knight f6, standard developing move, and that allows me to play e5, harassing the knight. Now the knight has to move, and they played d5, which is the best move. In general, against these kinds of Scotch gambit position, playing d5 at some point is a good idea, and you should play it. It attacks my bishop, but I'm also attacking their knight, and if I take their knight, they take my bishop, and I take on g7, then they're going to develop the bishop on g7, and I kind of figured out that I didn't really like it, especially with these two pawns being very advanced in my position, so I didn't go for this. Instead, I played bishop b5, which the engine also likes, pinning the knight, and also I can take the pawn on d4 and attack the pinned knight. So they played knight e4, and the knight was under attack, and they moved it. And I took on d4, which attacks the pinned knight, which is the best move. And they blocked the pin with bishop d7, which is also the best move. And I played a little bit of a crazy idea here. And at first it looks like it just blunders a pawn. But my idea and justification for this was queen h5 check. And they have to move the king, and they can't block with a pawn or anything like that. In my opinion, it was worth it to give up a pawn and to not let the king castle out of the center. And also it blocks the queen and the bishop, so that just hinders their development, and I thought it was a good idea, but the engine of course doesn't like these kinds of moves. My knight on d4 is actually undefended, and there's no pin anymore because the bishop is on d7 and the king has also moved, and now my knight is hanging. But I actually forgot about that, and I blundered my knight on d4. And my idea for b3 was to attack the king with my dark squared bishop, and they actually moved the king, which is pretty surprising because you could have moved the pawn to c5 and it's defended by the knight on e4, but they chose to move the king even further out of their position, which is pretty interesting. So what I was thinking about here was, if I move my bishop, my light squared bishop, for example, to d3, then they can actually trade my dark squared bishop off, and all of a sudden I'm a lot worse. Like I've just given up a piece, And yeah, the king is maybe a little bit exposed, but I can't really attack it that well right now, especially not after my dark squared bishop is gone. So my idea for taking the bishop on d7 was, if they take my dark squared bishop and I have to take back, then that would be really, really bad for me, because like the pieces are getting exchanged. Yeah, and I'm just a piece down. So that's really not what I want. They took back with the queen, which is exactly what I need, because now I can put my bishop back on b2 and pin this knight and maybe even attack the king. And they played e5, which is a big mistake, because now I can play f4. And what f4 does is it attacks the pawn on e5, and if they take, I'm going to take my piece back with check, and the rook is also coming. So they absolutely cannot take. What they instead did was try to move the king back to yeah, make their king safer, I guess. So I just took on e5. Yeah, looking back, I could have also took with the queen, and that would have been check. But I'm not too sure. Oh wow, if they block with their queen, not only can you take on c7 with check, but you can also take the knight back. Okay, so yeah, I probably just overlooked this. So instead I took on e5, and now the knight is hanging. And not only is the knight hanging, but rook f7 check is also a huge threat, just straight up winning the queen. And they can't do both things at the same time. They have to allow one of those two things. So what they did was sack the knight on e2. So I took. And if you're wondering, why not keep this threat alive and just move the king to h1? That's actually a really big mistake, because now there's knight g3 check, and look at this triple fork. When I take back, the knight just re-jumps onto the same position, coming with a triple fork. So that was not an option, so I had to just take. And now I'm not down a piece anymore. So my little gambit that I played by giving up the knight on d4 actually somewhat paid off. And yep, they moved their king to d8 to safeguard their king. And the king, you know what's funny? The king on d8 is still not safe, because of c4. And if they take, all of a sudden the queen is just straight up gone. So that's pretty interesting. So of course they did not take the pawn on c4. Instead they gave a check with the bishop, which is the best move, and I moved my king out of the way. And they played c6. I kind of expected this move, because yeah, it holds the pawn on d5, and it kind of just reinforces their position, if you will. And here I played knight to d2, finishing off my development, trying to maybe trade off this knight that is very strong on e4. And if they take, I just take back. So they moved their knight back to g5, because they didn't want to trade. And now I took on d5. They took back with the queen, and now the king and queen are lined up. So I immediately brought my rook to d1, because I want to move my knight and win the queen, or maybe give some discovered checks or whatever. So they moved their king away, which is the best move. And I played knight c4, and it comes with a discovered attack on the queen. So they had to move the queen away. Yeah, now I didn't really know what to do here. I spent 2 minutes on the move, and I played knight to d6 to centralize the knight, and also it's reinforced by a pawn. And when they take with the bishop, then I'm going to take back with the pawn, and it's also check. So there's this pin is not that useful. They played rook h to f8 to offer a trade of rooks. And I'm not going to lie here, I've thought for a very long time only to exchange the rooks. So they took back, and now I played queen c2, and I thought that queen c2 was a very good move because it attacks the bishop, it gets out of this pin. Yeah, maybe in the future they move the king and then I can't take with check. So that might be a consideration. And also it opposes the king. And why that is useful you will see later. They played queen d5, and the idea of queen d5 is if I take the queen, there is a mate on the back rank with the rook. So I couldn't take the queen, but what I instead did was play h3, and now all of a sudden this threat is renewed. And when the queen moves, then the bishop is hanging. So now it's getting very chaotic. And my opponent still has about 9 minutes to think here. And they thought about for 5 minutes on a single move, only to play a blunder. And honestly, I'm not too sure. Oh yeah, the only move here is rook f2. And yeah, when I calculated rook f2, yeah, it seemed to me that it would be a really good move. Because if I take the queen, they're going to take my queen. And the bishop is actually defended when the rook is on c2. If I take the bishop, they just take back. And they're in the lead in terms of material. So yeah, I'm pretty thankful that they didn't play rook f2 and instead moved the queen back to e6. And that just allows me to take the bishop on c5, and then their position is just falling apart, basically. They made a last resort attempt to sacrifice on h3 and maybe hope that I would take back. And if I will, then the queen gets invited into my position and is going to give a bunch of checks, either get a draw or maybe the rook comes in or whatever. And of course, I did not take because I don't want the queen to get into my position, right? So there is a nice little combination of moves here. And it starts with knight b5 check, and the king has to move. The knight can't be taken because of the pin. And when the king moves, look what's hanging. It's a rook on f8 that's just straight up hanging. And I took it with check. And if you notice, the king has nowhere to go. This rook is blocking off all these squares. The knight is taking care of c7. And the king just can't escape. There's only one move here, and it's to block with a queen. And that's checkmate. Yeah, I mean, that's what a game, man. Like, that was a very crazy game. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed my analysis, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.